Hi, this is me. In this video, I'm going to share a mixing session of the song called South of the Water by The Actions. This is how it sounds without any mixing.
Ooh, you make us feel like home. So when you're on your own, south of the water, we built this up with bricks and mortar. You make us feel like home. It's cold outside.
And this is how it sounds after mixing it.
So when you're on your own, south of the water, we built this up with bricks and mortar. You make this feel like home. It's cold outside, but my temper's increasing. So hear me out. I will kick and shout for you.
Okay, so that is how I mixed this song. It was again a tough one. I'll also show you the first mix of the song, how bad it was. This is how it sounds after replacing this snare track with the snare snapple, trimming all these unnecessary bleeds from the toms and many other instruments, and after cleaning and applying some techniques that I didn't have before, this song sounds good now, at least to my ears, and I hope yours too. This is how the bass sounds without any EQ. This is the EQ. And this is the saturation knob. Then I have used this limiter as compressor to sidechain it with the kick. So whenever the kick is hitting, it is ducking the bass frequency. You can feel it. Okay. Let's move on to the kick. This is how my kick sound without any EQ. This is the sample that I have used because only triggers were provided. This is the EQ and the compression without both of them, with them. And this is how it is ducking the bass. You can see here how the bass is getting ducked. Whenever the kick is hitting, it is ducking the bass. Here you can see every time the kick is hitting, it is ducking the bass. This is side chaining. Let's move on to the snares. Okay, so this is how the snare is sounding without any EQ. With the EQ, saturation and compressor, it sounds like something like this. But if I play the whole track, you can see there's a lot of bleed. That's why I have to replace it with the snare sample of my own. You can hear the bleed. And turn off all the plugins. You can hear the overheads bleed. That's why I've used my sample. This is how my snare sounds without any plugin. With this EQ, you can hear there's a lot of bleed, and after saturation, after compression, the bleed is still there. That's why I've used my own sample. Let's move on to the sample. This is how my sample sounds without any plugins. And this is the EQ. This is the compressor. And this saturation and this reverb I have added rather than sending it to the other reverb. Without them, let's get it back to the previous volume level. Now I'll play both of the snare together. You can hear the snare sample is clean, and this original recording is not that clean. That's why I've used this sample. Let's move on to the overheads. This is how the overhead sounds without any plugins. Lots of bleed. This is the parametric EQ, removing these frequencies. Then this overhead, overdrive, and then this compressor, which is not doing much, but I added it. Okay, let's now move on to the toms. Here I've got two toms. One is panned to the extreme left, the other to the right. First listen to this one without any EQ. This is the EQ, saturation, and the compressor. Compressing it heavily, and this signal is fed to this wider. This much. Without it, with it. Let's move on to the, this is how this tom on the right sounds without any plugins. First the EQ, without it, with it, saturation, which is this, and then this compressor, and this wider, without lots of, just this much. Now both of these together. Okay, let's now move on to the other sound. Okay, so now we have got this tambourine sound something like this, pan to the right with the EQ and the reverb on the left, just this much. Let's move on to the other sound. Here we have got this reverse cymbal, just one shot without reverb, with reverb. Moving on to the sprinkle sound, now without reverb, with reverb. So that is all the drums. All these drums are now sending its signal to this drum bus. Okay, this is how the drum sound without any plugins in the drum bus. First this sound goodizer, then saturation, another saturation, then this compressor, then this parametric EQ to shape the drum sound. Without these plugins, without, with. Now let's move on to this hard compression sound. This is how this hard compress sounds, by squashing these drums and placing it just beneath the drums. Without it, with it. Okay, so that was my drum bass. Okay, this is how this first guitar sounds without any plugins. This is the EQ. Without it, with widener plugin. Without it, with it, and then comes this saturation. Without the saturation, with the saturation, this compressor. Now move on to the other guitar. Okay, so this guitar is panned to the extreme left, and this is how it sounds without any plugin. With the EQ, without, with it, and then this compressor, not compressing much. Anyway, so after this comes the saturation and compressor and this reverb. Without all of them, with them. Now let's move on to the guitar on the right. This guitar on the right sounds like this without any plugins. With EQ, without it, with it, compressor, and then this pre-box. This is a saturator, and then this fattish compressor, and then this reverb. Now both of these guitars together, let's now move on to the other guitars. This guitar is panned to the extreme left. This is how it sounds. With the parametric EQ. Without it. With it, without it, with it, and after the saturation, after the compression, without both of them, with them, and after the reverb. Let's now move on to the other guitar. Okay, so this guitar is panned just a little to the left, only halfway through, and this is how it sounds. With the EQ, without EQ, and then this saturation, compressor, and the reverb. Let's now move on to the other guitars. And this guitar is panned to halfway through the right, 55%, and this is how it sounds without anything. after EQ, saturation, compression, reverb, without all of them, with them. Let's move on to the other guitars. This guitar is panned extremely to the right. This is how it sounds. This is the EQ, saturation, without it, with it, compression, and reverb. Without all of them, with them all. Now let's listen to all these guitars together. Moving on to the last pair of guitars. Okay, so this guitar is panned little to the left. This is how it sounds without any plugins. This is the EQ, without EQ, with EQ, and then this compressor, not doing much, and this widener plugin, without it, with it, and then this saturation, without it, with it, this compressor, and now let's move on to the other guitar. Okay, so this guitar is panned just the opposite to the previous guitar on the right side. This is how it sounds without any plugins. This is after EQ. Let me increase the volume. Without EQ. With the EQ. This compressor, not doing much. And then this widener plugin. After that, some saturation in the bus, this saturation bus, and this compressor. Then this reverb. Now both of these guitars together. Without these plugins. After the plugins, let me show you one more thing, that all these instruments are sending its signal into this saturation bus, where I have used this saturator, which is a kind of a common saturator, saturating every guitars together. I could have used 2-3 more buses like this, because I've got 6, 7, 8 guitars, but I used only one bus for all these guitars. That's how I do it, because to me it looks like a better way to do it. And in this bus, as you have seen, I have used this saturator, this compressor, a setting that I think is getting good result with on all these various guitars. I've chosen this after trial and error, looking for the best sound by the compressor. And I have used this fruity limiter. This is used to duck the guitar sound when the vocal is being played. Here it is side chained with the lead vocal, so whenever the singer is singing, the guitars are ducking down. You can hear the guitars are being ducked down whenever the vocal is hitting. Now here you can see, you can hear whenever the vocal is there, the guitars are being ducked down. Can you hear it? It is because of this. Here you can see all the guitars are ducked down just a little bit. Now it might be seeming that the guitars are ducking too much, but it is not. In the overall song, it doesn't feel the same. It feels like the vocal is up front. Okay, so let's now move on to these background vocals. Okay, so this is how the background vocal sounds without any EQ. With the EQ, without EQ.
You make this feel like home. South of the water.
Now without EQ.
We built this up with bricks and mortar.
Without EQ, with EQ. Okay, so now listen to this vocal bus where everything is sending its signal to this vocal bus, and there I have this saturator. First listen to it.
You make this feel like home.
Without this saturator, with this saturator, and this compressor. Compressor on,
You make
compressor
this feel
off,
like home.
compressor on. So that is how the vocals are processed, just panning and EQ, and then this vocal bus has got saturation and compression, nothing more than that. And yes, with the reverb also being applied here. Without the reverb, these vocals sound something like this. Now with the reverb,
You make this feel like home.
without reverb, with reverb. Okay, now let's move on to the lead vocals. This is how the lead vocals sound without any plugin.
My skin's falling off. My skin's falling off. I'm breaking at the
With the EQ.
seams. He's holding me under, and I can't breathe. It's slow and
Without it.
painful, and as it seems, my skin's falling
With the
off. I'm breaking
Then
at
saturation.
the seams.
Without
He's holding
saturation.
me under, and I can't
Saturation
breathe.
on. And then this another parametric EQ,
It's slow and painful, and as it seems,
just to de-ess
now
the
I'm
sound.
caving in. My heart's suffocating.
And then this TD Anova for
My
another
head's
de-essing.
flushed to the start, 'cause you are tearing me apart.
Here
My skin's
you can hear,
falling
you can see
off. I'm breaking
the
at
de-essing
the
happening.
seams. He's holding me under, and I
then this
can't
compressor.
breathe. It's slow and painful, and
And
as
then
it
this
seems,
again compressor.
now I'm caving in. My heart's
This is my settings.
suffocating.
Without this,
My head's flushed to the start, 'cause you
With
are
it.
tearing me apart. My
Okay,
skin's
without all these
falling
plugins,
off.
it sounds like
I'm
this.
breaking at the seams.
But with the plugins on,
He's holding me under, and I can't breathe. It's slow and painful, and as it seems,
now let's move
I'm
on to this vocal patcher.
my skin's falling off.
This is the reverb.
I'm breaking at the seams. He's holding me under.
This is how the room reverb sounds only. This is the EQ of the reverb, and this is the hall reverb.
I'm breaking at the seams.
This is the hall reverb and vocal reverb together, along with the vocal.
I'm breaking at the seams. He's
Just the
holding
room
me
reverb.
under, and I can't breathe.
Just the hall reverb.
It's slow and painful, and
Both
as
of
it
it together.
seems. Now I'm caving in.
This
My
lap back delay.
heart's suffocating. My
so
head's
much.
flushed to the start. 'Cause you are tearing me
And this
apart.
wider plugin
My skin's falling
Without it.
off.
with it.
I'm breaking at the seams. He's holding me under, and
Now with the song.
my skin's falling off. I'm breaking at the seams. He's holding me under, and I can't breathe. You make me feel like home. So when you're on your own, south of the water,
Okay, so now I'll show you how this is ducking these guitars. I have side changed it with the guitar bus, so whenever the vocal is sung, the guitars are getting duck. Let me show you. You can hear it there, how it is ducking the guitar. Even in this graph you can see that. Now the volume came back again. Now it's gone.
it's cold outside.
It's ducking. Okay, so that is how I treated the vocal with how it is having a relation with the guitars. So that was the entire mix. In the masters, I have used the saturator, and this is how the song sounds in the mono.
So when you're on your own, south of the water.
It sounds good even in mono.
So when you're on your own, south of the water, we built this.
This is only stereo frequencies. This is only mono.
So when you're on your own, south of the water, we built this up with bricks and mortar. You make this feel like home. It's cold outside, but my temper's in.
This is the way I master the song. This is the low frequencies. Bands are this. As usual, 200 is my crossover. Highs.
You make this feel like home. It's cold outside, but my temper's increasing.
The final
So hear me out. I will kick and shout for you. It's slow and painful, and as it seems.
Okay, so that is how I mix the song. I hope you liked it, because to my satisfaction this sounds very good, because the way I mixed it first was horrible. I'll also make you listen to it, how bad it was, because there was no snare, because the snare that I have used is a sample snare that I already mentioned. This is a sample snare that I use. It's quite upfront in the mix. Listen.
On your own, south of the water.
I could have lowered down the volume, but now I'm not gonna change anything. It sounds good. Yes, a little bit of volume down in the snare make it a little better. Anyway, so that is the mix. I hope you like it, and before going I'll show you the mix that I did on it for the first time. Okay, so now listen to the mix that I did before, when I had almost like zero experience. No, I was not at zero level, but this song was really tough. That's a real tough song for me, because I could not get it right. But over the period of time I eventually got it, how to like compress and do the various stuff to get the right sound. Listen to it. This is how my snare sounded in the song, everything is not good, but the snare is extremely poor, so poor that it is not even audible. Listen to it. You can hear there is no snare because I have not used the sample, just the snare provided in the stem file. My god, my goodness, there is no snare. And how could I call this mix a finished one? Because there is no snare, dead snare. If you can hear, tambourines and the cymbals are quite on a higher side of volume. Tambourines are too high, cymbals are too high. Vocal is not that bad. Lots of bass guitar.
It's cold outside, but my temper's increasing.
Only the bass
So hear
and
me
guitar on the right.
out.
That was a pathetic mix. You can hear it, and now compare it with this recent one.
I will kick and shout for you. It's slow and painful, and as it seems.
Compare it.
You make me feel like home.
How bad that was. The difference is night and day. That was the mix that had me great trouble, but finally I mixed it well. Well, if you can compare both of these mix, you can easily tell that I have grown a lot in this journey of mixing, because the difference is quite audible. Okay, so thank you for watching. Let me thank the Action, the band, for this great song, a very hard to mix song, South of the Border. Thank you so much, Action, and CambridgeMT.com for providing the stem file. This is me signing off. Keep learning, enjoy practicing. Thanks for watching.